Hey, shalom, shalom. First things first, I'm going to give honor and praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. We say, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. And we give double honors to our apostles and our elders, which are the apostle elders of Great Millstone, which feed us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushai. 2023, which is the hopeful year, the Yahweh Yahushai fulfills all the promises, man. Get the elect up out of here, man. This is a special video, man. I usually don't have dreams per se. You know, I usually am not a, I mean, I've had dreams here and there, but I don't really remember them. And I remember a little bit back, you always want to be like, damn, man, you go through, it's always when you catch the most hell. You always want that tangibility. When you catch hell, you just wonder, like, damn, am I off? What am I being punished for? But, this is one of those, we go through it. We're not perfect. We're always going to strive, and it's truth. But today, last night or this morning, because I work nights, so I try to, keep my schedule even if I'm off. Last night I didn't do too much. I just, fell asleep. I ate and fell asleep. But I had a long, extensive dream, if you want to say. I didn't remember all of it, but the parts the Lord wanted me to remember, I remember very, very detailed. So I'm just gonna go into it. And this is a beautiful, and I told one of the brothers, as I talked to, that's why it says you always take counsel. So I called one of the brothers, and we got to talking about it, and the brother really, opened up some things, and that's why it says iron sharpen iron. So, we started talking about it, and we started seeing the symbology in it, and the signs, a message, and to those that are watching, the hopeful elect, because this truth is for the elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3. I'm gonna get through this little area. I'm walking right now. Let me get through this little traffic area, and then I'm gonna get into this little park area, and then I'm gonna go into the dream. That way I can concentrate a little bit. But the times we had now, things are being shown to us, things are being given to us. This man is going down. We have the report of, I seen Turkey said today, they told America not to be involved in the Palestinian war. All right. So you got different nations that are coming against this man and telling them, hey, look, in Turkey, we know that Turkey is in the prophecy. All right. If you read Ezekiel, you'll see that Turkey is one of the main players in this thing. All right. So we got to watch what Turkey's doing. We got to watch this whole Hamas situation, because that's going to lead, because Hamas is Iran. If you know the news and how it goes, Hamas is Iran. That's their proxy. So if they should really go to war with Hamas, that can lead into the confrontation with Israel. All right. So we got to watch this thing close. Hold on. It's about to hopefully let me walk. But the dream was really heavy, man. It's almost like a sign and a message to us to let us know we almost up out of here, man. Let me get through here. Salakia Akim. Damn, they got me sitting on another green light. Anyway, I'll go ahead and get started with it. So the dream took place. I was in a factory. And funny as that, I was in a factory, which I do factory work. So it's like the spirit made me have something that I could relate to. And factory represents work. All right. Because if you're in a factory, you're working. And I thought, I was just like, this is a weird factory, because at the time I didn't know it was a dream. I was just, I thought I was at work, but I was like, the factory wasn't laid out right. So I'm in the factory and I'm working, and I see all types of, and now that I look into it, it's Jakes. I see all types of Jakes. I see, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. In this factory, I didn't really see any Edomites. I didn't really see any Edomites in the factory. So we're working in the factory, and there's labor going on. There's like different metals and different things going on. So we're working in this factory, and I remember looking over, and there was a section, and there was a serpent. All right, there was a serpent in this section. And when I tell you this serpent, it was one of those, like, it was bright yellow. It was a yellow gold serpent. It was a yellow gold, like it was more gold than yellow, but it was like, it was like a skin type of gold. Like, I ain't never seen a serpent like it, but the spirit was like, that's very poisonous. Like, it was very poisonous. So I go over to that part of the factory, and I'm walking over to it, and I'm looking at the serpent, and it's hanging on something, and the body is off of the ground, but it's hanging, and it's doing something like this. You know, it's like, you know, moving side to side and looking around. So I walk up to it, and I'm cautious, and I walk up to it, and it lunges, like it tries to, you know, bite out. It tries to bite me, you know. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh snap. I was like, hey everybody, you know, I was like, hey, there's a serpent over here. There's a snake. You know, I remember saying that. And then before this happened, I remember in the factory, this is before I seen the serpent, there was a manager. There were managers. And the spirit told me that they were managers. They weren't normal. There was factory workers, but then there were managers in this factory, right? They had a different appearance to them. You know, my mind said they had to be angels. You know, because those are our men. What does it say? They minister to those that shall inherit the kingdom. So I remember seeing one, and I was cool with the managers, you know. So I remember, and I was like, hey, now to the point where I seen the serpent, I was like, hey, there's a serpent over here. Y'all don't come over here. It's dangerous. And then I walk just a little bit away from the serpent, and I seen one of the managers. And I told the manager, I was like, hey, man, there's a serpent. There's a snake over here in the corner, man. And I was like, man, it looked poisonous. You know, in the serpent, back to the serpent, it was a gold, yellow, but it had different colored dots on it. The serpent had like green, red. It was like the color scheme was really beautiful, but you could tell it was a poisonous ass serpent, okay? So I go back to the manager, and I'm like, hey, man, there's a serpent in that corner. But the manager looked at me. He was like, oh, okay. He was, the manager wasn't scared. He was like, okay, where's it at? Like, he had a look on his face like, hey, show me where the serpent is at. So the manager goes over there, and this is how I know, you know, it had to be an angel, because the manager pulled out an axe. We in the middle of a factory. What is this manager doing with this big ass axe? So I walk over to him, and I'm standing right like behind him, and he goes over to the serpent, and he takes the axe and whack, hits the head of the serpent, chops it off, and then he chops it again, and whack, and hits the body of the serpent. He chops it in like two pieces, is what I can remember, because I sort of look away, but he chops the head off and then chops the body, like he starts chopping it in pieces, right? And then it's laying there, so it's me, the manager, and another Israelite. I say it's another Jake. He walks up, and, you know, they're looking at it. You know what I'm saying? It's looking at it. And then you had the manager, he's just standing there with the axe, right? And then the other Jake that came up, he tried to pick up the serpent, right? And I remember this clearly, Yakim. I remember this like it was the most detailed part of the dream. I told him, I said, don't pick it up. The head is still alive. I said, don't pick up the serpent. The head is still alive. It will bite you. So I'm sitting there looking at it, and he picked up the body first. The guy that walked up, he picked up part of the body, and he was getting ready to pick up the head, and he had the head in his hand. And I said, hey, the head is still alive. It can still bite you. Don't pick it up. So he throws it. He throws the serpent head in the air, right? He throws it in the air, and then I take off. I'm like, oh shit, you just threw the head. It's still alive, because I'm not wanting to get, you know, you don't want to get bit. So I'm running. I remember turning around, and I'm running from the serpent, right? And I remember I heard it hit like a flag above me. There was like little flags hanging up above the factory, like little, like plastic flags, right? So the serpent hits the plastic flag, and I remember I was like, oh no, it's right by me. I was like, man, please don't let this damn snake head be on me, man. Right? It was the head of the snake. And I remember I stopped and I looked. The damn head had hit my arm, and it didn't bite nothing. I just threw it down, and then the spirit had me looking at it, and the head was still trying to bite. It was still trying to bite, but it was energy losing away from it. Like it was dying, but it was still trying to bite. And I remember I just watched it die. I just watched the head die. Like I was watching the head, and I remember looking at it, and I was like, man, I was right. It's still alive, and it's still trying to bite, right? And I remember it, and all of a sudden, the head just sort of, stopped moving, and the spirit had me stop looking at the head. And I looked at the factory, and the factory like changed. It's like all the Jakes in the factory, all of them started having different color shirts on. Because I noticed everybody had their own clothes on in the factory. But then all of a sudden, everybody's clothes started to change certain colors. Like this person in this side of the factory, because if you've ever worked a factory job, you have different sections in the factory. One section might be doing this, another section might be doing this. But I remember walking up and I seen this Jake, like he had to be like one of the managers, because he was dressed different. He was dressed in like not hip hop clothes, but the clothes were a little bit different than all of ours, right? And I remember he took a woman and he spun her around, like, you know what I'm saying? He spun her around, and the Lord had me look at the woman. She was a very beautiful looking woman, and he spun her around, right? And looked at me. He spun her around like she was walking up, and he grabbed her by the arm and spun her around real smooth, like, and then walked her. And then I remember she walked over to the other section and her shirt changed. So you had red, I remember red, and I remember like green, right? I don't know if I was wearing like green colors, but it reminded me of if you go to the time of Exodus, where we had each tribe had their own color. So the colors were changing in the factory. So everybody else had their colors on. And I remember we were just all happy. Like everybody was real happy and going to their sections and going to like where they were supposed to be at. And that was the part of the dream. I sort of just woke up, you know, at that time, man. But the beautiful part about it, going back to the serpent, because the serpent head, it represents, you know, and we was talking to the brothers, it could represent the elites, you know, because the elites are still, because the serpent itself is going to be destroyed in this coming altercation, okay? And then you're going to have what? You're going to have the time where the heads go into the, you know, the bunkers, you know, and they're still going to be trying to do bullshit. That's the heads, you know, it's representation of the elites. But the body was destroyed. The body was cut, man. The serpent was judged, man. You know, the serpent was judged, and it was by the angel. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the representation of that angel. We already know, and the volume might go, but that was the main part of the dream. If the volume cuts off, Salakia, you know, but that was the main point, was the serpent was getting ready to be, you know, judged, man. You know, and Jake was happy after that, man. After we seen all that, so I just had to share that and let Jake know, like, hey, man, signs are coming. Some things are coming down the pike. And Lord willing, we get to see it and embrace it. But it's time, man. You know, so I had to share that, and I remember it vividly, man. So call hello, Yabashim Yashai, Bashim Akakudash. Until the next time, I say shalom, and as always, keep faith. Shalom.